Hello guys, how are you? This is a different video. I'm gonna be replying to some comments and questions left on my channel. So with no particular order, I'm gonna start with first one from a pilot. He left this comment a few months ago. So let's go ahead and read what he says, and then I'll be talking about it. Cardinal RG. I flew for 3 decades as a commercial pilot and flight instructor. If I'd ever had the flat earth notion in my head, I'd have struck a mountain or crashed into the sea years ago, taking all my passengers with me. All aeronautical navigation is based on the spherical earth, none of it on a flat one. So I used to think pilots were way much smarter than I have come to know them in these recent years. Now, I'm not saying all pilots are not smart. Some of them are really bright, but some of them seem like not to be very smart. When you consider that being a pilot is not so much different than being a conductor or a shipmaster or driver, because they are all machine operators. It doesn't mean that because someone is a pilot, he is smart and can see what's going on. Proof that anybody can be a pilot. Back during the Second World War, when Brazil decided to enter the war fighting with the Allies, the US donated hundreds of airplanes to the Brazilian government, and they trained the pilots. There were few pilots, only not war pilots, but the American government sent hundreds of airplanes to Brazil and sent some pilots to train the Brazilian pilots, and in a few months they were flying airplanes. So there's not a science behind being a pilot. So I don't expect this guy RG to figure things out, because not many people do. Perhaps he didn't want to look at, because if he doesn't want to see the evidence, if he keeps his eyes shut, he's not going to see. He can spend 30, 40, 50 years doing one thing he will never going to see. There's a very interesting story in opera. It's called M. Butterfly. It's a story of a French diplomat who had been in a relationship for 15 years with a woman. And after 15 years, he finds out that the lady wasn't a lady, was a dude. I'm not going to tell the whole story, but there's a book written, but it's said to be based on a true story. And actually, the true story is that the guy was married to a woman for 20 years. He only found out that the person he was married with wasn't a woman after 20 years. So the evidence was there. He just didn't want to see. The same thing with this pilot. The evidence is there. This is also another story very similar, where the guy falls in love with a girl, and only later he finds out that it's not really a girl. He was a little bit too late. So there's not an amount of evidence that I can show to pilot RG, this pilot, that the earth is flat, because he has been flown an airplane for 30 years. If he hasn't figured it out, it's because he didn't want to see, because the evidence is there. I'm gonna play this. Perhaps he will open his eyes, perhaps he will not. I don't know. If someone doesn't want to see, he will never gonna see. If somebody doesn't want to see something, he's not gonna see it.
Australia, the flattest continent, comprising of flat lowland. Therefore, it is known as the flattest continent.
2 researchers from the University of Kansas, Jerome Dobson and Joshua Campbell, published a paper in a real scientific journal, the Geographical Review, talking about the flatness of states. The study did verify that Kansas was pretty flat, but it was only the 7th flattest state in the US. Delaware, Minnesota, Louisiana, North Dakota, and Illinois, yes, were flatter. The number 1 flattest state in the entire US was Florida.
There's a section of abyssal plain, a kind of flat-lying section. So now, here's the whole world ocean, and the color scheme is not quantified on here, but I can tell you basically what's going on. All the deep blue is abyssal plain, about 5 kilometers deep, and you see it a lot of places.
The basin of the Orinoco, lying between the Andes to the west, the coastal mountain range to the north, and the Guiana Massif to the southeast. It is so completely flat that it has been named the region of the plains.
So the evidences are out there. If he doesn't want to see it, there's no way nobody can make him see. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. That's from Globe Strike Back. This guy sometimes comments on my channel. You know Flat Earth is dying, right? Well, he never really been alive, more like some kind of zombies. But I don't know in what Earth is he living at. Flat Earth, despite all the persecution and censorship coming from big companies like Google and YouTube, and the government, of course, has been growing exponentially. You may be familiar with this picture. Last year, it was on the news, 11 million Brazilians, to 11 million Brazilians, the Earth is flat. You can change those numbers. Today, it's considered that to 16 million Brazilians, the Earth is flat. Flat Earth is growing exponentially all over. Let's take as an example here in Japan. We have been having meetups, and it's been growing exponentially here as well. People are meeting, talking about Flat Earth. There have been many online summits on Flat Earth here in Japan, all over Japan, from people from Tokyo, Osaka, Nagoya, Kyoto. They're getting together either, face to face, wearing no mask. 2 books have been published about Flat Earth, and my book has gained a version in Japanese, and it's going to be published sometime between now and August. And people are meeting everywhere. We've been to meetups in Kyoto, in Nagoya. Kozo's book has been selling out everywhere. All major bookstores here in Japan are carrying this Flat Earth book. All major bookstores. And here's an example, the manager adding more books on display, so anybody can walk by and see, because Flat Earth is growing exponentially. So to say the Flat Earth is dying, it's one more of those lies that globe believers love. Lies. They love lying about moon landing, lying about curvature, lying about spinning of the Earth, and they just love lies. That's all they do, lie all the time. But on the contrary, Flat Earth is alive and kicking. The globe allows the persuasion of the nations. Why doesn't the Flat Earth allow the persuasion of the nations? Well, I think there is a spiritual side to this, of the cosmology. This is what I normally say. If you remember, in the Bible there is a story of the Tower of Babel, and the purpose was to build one tower so the people could be together. It was what they call globalization today. You could have called it towerization at that time, because they wanted to be under one leader, Nimrod, and this tower represented that they would not be a part of each other, be united under one leader. So globalization means the same thing. They came up with this globe idea, and it's a prism, because if you see, they persuaded the nations to give up their authority, their sovereignty to the United Nations. But the United Nations is run by private families, and those private families are run for other, even small number. So it's the same thing from the Tower of Babel, same concept. So the globe allows that, whereas the Flat Earth, the nations would be independent and sovereign. They would govern their own countries. No need for fears of an asteroid coming or global warming. All those things were used to persuade those nations to give up their power, to be brought under the dominion and the governance of the United Nations and whoever are behind them. Flat Earth would be different. Flat Earth, that means independence for each nation, no globalization, of course, friendship between nations, but independence. Every country should be independent to do what they all wanted to do. They should have their own laws, all their own beliefs, and each people should decide what's good for them, instead of being under the umbrella of a family disguised as the United Nations. That's my idea. It's also from a pilot. You are only into Flat Earth to make money. That's why you wrote a book. This is really funny. I have a degree in English and international business. So just look at this pie chart here. We have 99% of the people on Earth believe the globe Earth, whereas only 1% probably believe the Earth is flat or know Earth is flat. So where would the most amount of money be? Of course, among the 99 globe believers. So if I want to make money, I would be doing what I did before. I used to have, when I lived in the US, I still do have an eBay account, but it's not active. I haven't been doing anything on eBay for years. But if you see there, I have over 500, almost 600 transactions because I made money easily on eBay. And I'm going to tell you how I made money. I used to go to Walmart stores, many supercenters, buy all those action figures that are all based in science fiction. And I would buy them for $5 and sell them for $20. Now, how? Because I sold them overseas. I sold them to Brazil. And even in Japan, I sold to them in Japan. I sold for people all over the world because people love science fiction. They love science fiction. So if you want to make money, you sell science fiction items. Look at, for example, this Batman car. When it was released, die-cast 1/18 scale, Walmart had it on sale for $19.99. $19.99. Immediately, this car was sold to someone in Brazil for $238 because they don't have, they didn't have that stuff in Brazil. So that's a $210 profit. You see how easy it is making money off globe believers? So if I really wanted to make money, I would be doing like this girl here.
Of a weeb, I guess you could say. I love Japan. I know I go there all the time. I try not to. Every time I tell myself I'm gonna, cut it back, I just can't resist going back to Japan. I just love the country, the culture, and the language. And I do purchase a lot of things from them, not only Gunpla, but also kind of Gundam paraphernalia, like clothing and just weird things like to collect.
And if any globe believers there are interested, I live here in Japan. There are many action figures here based on science fiction. I can find some for you. I'll sell for you. I'll send it from here. Some people go to second-hand stores. The second-hand stores here in Japan are really nice because the items are perfect. Okay, the Japanese are very picky concerning the items they make, and they want to be very proud of what they sell, so they don't sell junk. One example, if I want to make even more money, I would buy lenses, prime lenses, like Canon lenses. I'm talking about the prime lenses, 2.8 aperture or 1.0 prime lenses. The second-hand stores here, they have plenty of them in perfect condition. Could easily be making $500 a day selling lenses here, or action figures, Japanese action figures. But I'm making $8 per book, and I don't sell much because my book is free for downloading. Anybody can download the book. If you want to have a copy, that's nice, because if you want to print the file, that's probably going to cost about $40 color. No, I didn't write a book to make money. But I can sell you, Globe Believer, a lot of science fiction items and make money off your belief of outer space. I had to redact at the beginning because it has some bad words there. Your ignorance of physics and basic mathematics was too much to bear by the halfway point. most of those motions you allow for in the heliocentric model, by the way, are utterly irrelevant, but your ignorance of the physics of motion makes you think otherwise. It's your ignorance that makes you think the heliocentric model is wrong, not the observations of reality. And he referred this because of this video demonstrating that the Earth should be going through 4 different directions at a speed of 1.4 million miles per hour through the universe. You don't feel any of this. And he says that because I don't know physics or mathematics, I don't feel that. It has nothing to do with physics or mathematics. It's about not being moving at all. Earth is not moving, it's stationary. But these guys, I have come to the conclusion that, the amount of time these people spend on science fiction and movies and globe indoctrination, time makes them blind. I don't know how many of you have watched this movie Lucy. Lucy is a movie made back, I think, 2014. And at some point in the movie, someone placed some drugs inside her body. So she's carrying some drugs. In Brazil, not long ago, there was a guy, he came from Africa and he swallowed like 20 bags of cocaine. And he was going to board a plane to Europe. He was trying to bring that drug to Europe. But the thing is, one of the bags burst open inside his stomach and he died at the airport. Some people even filmed him. He was agonizing and he died at the airport because one of those bags burst open. So this movie talks about this girl. She's carrying some drugs inside her body. It was placed there by the doctor. He was forced actually to put in there, if I'm not wrong. It's been a while since I watched it. So at some point, I think one of the bags of this drug burst open and she starts feeling the effect of the drug. So the first thing she says when she starts feeling the effects of the drug is that she could feel the spin of the Earth and she could see the curvature of the Earth. So you gotta be on drug to be able to do it. So listen what she says in the movie.
I can feel the gravity. I can feel the rotation of the Earth.
So you definitely have to be dosed with so many years of indoctrination. It's all in their imagination. It's all in their heads. So they've been drugged for so many years. They are in a permanent state of, it's like being drunk all the time. And if you disagree with this guys like that, first thing they do is to cuss you, call you names, and make threats against you. Like I've been getting all this stuff for years.
Hey man, am I driving okay? I think we're parked, man.
Hey guys, I'm getting to the end of this video. Just want to talk about these maps here. The two above shows the weather data before COVID-19. You can see that the airplanes were actually collecting all those weather data. So there are no satellites out there. The two top ones refer to the air traffic, meteorological air traffic before COVID-19. You can see there were a lot of flights collecting weather data. So there are no satellites out there. It's all gotten by airplanes flying. And when the COVID pandemic started last year and they ordered the flights, they ordered all companies not to fly. So there was a problem because they were not getting enough data, weather data. You can see by the two maps on the bottom, the Mercator, and then I converted to the AE projection. You can see fewer flights meant less weather data. That proves one more time that there are no satellites out there. All this weather data are collected through airplanes, weather planes. I want to close this video. I'm going to leave here two videos for you to watch. One is the magnetic sun. I watched this video way before I was a flat earther. I found it very interesting. It didn't make much sense to me at that time, but now it does. And the plasma moon with Professor R. Foster. You have seen this many times, but I just want to put them both together so you can have an idea about the sun and the moon. I would like to ask you guys if you have a copy of my book. I will leave my email if you want to send me a picture, just for me to have it. And you guys take care. See you next time. Watch Eric Dollard, Professor Foster. You guys take care. See you next time. Bye-bye.
There's no inside structure.
Is it hollow?
Yeah, there's only a surface. There's nothing inside.
Is the sun actually, do you believe, combusting in on
It's
itself?
not burning anything. There's no fusion in the sun. That's well understood.
Proven.
Yeah, well, there's just not the way to prove that there is any. It's only in the flares that you get fusion. That's where all the X-rays. The flares, the arcs, and the X-rays, and the microwaves, and whatever result of fusion in the arcs. There's no fusion in the sun. They don't know how the sun works.
Why do you, what's special, how does the sun make light?
It's a transformer. Transforms from some other dimension. It's not burning anything. It doesn't have to. It's a converter.
Of what?
I don't know. Nobody knows. But that's what it does. That's the only thing it can do, because that's how everything works.
It's transforming from another dimension.
Yeah, you could say it's taking energy from another dimension, counter space. There's no energy, actually. You can't, most of it you can't even measure in outer space or see.
You can't see.
No, you can't see the sun in free space.
So the sun is not visible in outer space.
Not in free space. It's only invisible when gross matter becomes involved, like the Earth's atmosphere and envelope and the surface of the moon or whatever. That makes the light. Otherwise, there is no light. You can see the moon, you can see the Earth, but you can't see the sun or you can't see the stars.
But you can see the planets and the
Yeah,
satellite.
right. You can see material objects, but you cannot see the sources of light. There is no light until there's a material object.
To reflect off.
So that means there's no time delay. So the whole time delay thing is meaningless. It doesn't take light years. There are no light years because there's no light. So that means that the light you see from the distant stars isn't 4 million years old. It could be only minutes old. It could be instantaneous. All the theories collapse when you can't see the stars in outer space.
We were never able to see stars from the lunar surface or on the daylight side of the moon by eye without looking through the optics. I don't recall during the period of time that we were photographing the solar corona what stars we could see.
I don't remember seeing any. Billions, trillions, trillion, million, billion, 400 billion suns. Billion, trillion, billion, trillions of orbiting snowballs. Billion, trillions, millions, billion, millions, billions, million, million, billion, 4 billion-year-old tree. Tens of billions. I have trillions, billions, billion, trillions, billions, trillion, millions, billion years, 100 million.
Well, now, one thing, you have a theory about the moon, and we expect to be able to get observable facts about the moon fairly soon. What is your theory?
Well, it is by now rather more than a theory. 10 or 11 years ago, I stated to various scientists that the moon is not a piece of rock, but it is a plasma phenomenon, cosmic plasma, and that this fact will eventually be confirmed. I made certain predictions which were already confirmed in 1958, and the situation now is coming close to a complete confirmation.
What will be the result if you're proved to be correct in your theories?
The result will be profound and decisive, because it will give proof that a complete reinvestigation of the laws of nature is necessary. Because if the moon is a plasma, no man will ever land on it. The soft landing attempts will all fail. That means that the mass of the moon is far less than is currently assumed. It's in a different state of energy, and it has far less mass. That means there is no more explanation for the tides. If the moon, for example, had only 1,000th part of its current mass, then the tides would only be 2 inches high under conventional theories instead of sometimes 14 feet. And that means that if it is proved that the moon is a plasma, then all gravitational theories are out, and a new concept of the cosmos and of its laws has to be evolved.
Aren't you being a bit adventurous, though, because you know that we're going to be able to test out your theories on the moon fairly soon?
Well, not anymore. 11 years ago, of course, it was rather taking a risk. I was considered a lunatic, of course. But by now, the evidence, accumulated evidence, is already so much in my favor that I'm not taking any risks anymore. On the contrary, there is scientific views expressed all over the world now that the moon seems to be of a quite different nature of what was assumed.
But the Americans and Russians are thinking of landing men on it.
Well, that will never happen.